It's his most daring challenge yet. Can Spartacus Booker stop ICE from being at Newark Airport? And why would he, since everybody seems really happy with him being there? But anyway, he's dedicated, so let's talk about it. Here we go.
Let's go.
It's funny, I mean, CNN, another report today, people are happy at the airports. They're moving fine. ICE agents aren't killing people, despite Hakeem Jeffries' warning. Yeah, no, it turns out when you're not trying to ram a truck into them, they're actually very nice people and very helpful. The lines have gone down dramatically at the airports where they are. But let that not stop the most grandstanding jackass in the United States Senate from declaring that he, and he alone, will stop ICE from being at Newark Airport, where he is holding a press conference at Newark Airport. So despite the fact that people are happy and moving through the lines, and despite the fact that ICE isn't hurting anybody, and despite the fact that now actually the situation seems to be under control, let Cory Booker not miss an opportunity to grandstand. Please, here we go.
And so what's happening today in America that should outrage everybody? He's taking this very same agency that has been bursting into our schools, into our churches, into our hospitals, into our courts, and even into the homes of Americans. He's taking that agency that is reckless and out of control and bringing them to our airports under the lie that somehow this is going to help deal with the long lines that he created in the first place. This is an outrage. We should not have an agency that America doesn't trust, an agency that literally has seen violence against Americans, an agency that is tearing away American families, tearing apart American families, and arresting and detaining Americans, and violating due process rights and civil rights.
An outrage. And I'm sure the people at the airports agree with the senator that this is an outrage.
As long as they don't bother anybody, I'm okay. I was concerned about people. So they're not bothering us. Let's get it done.
I like that they're here. I think that it's allowing us to move and get to where we need to go.
It's kind of scary in a sense because you don't know what to expect with ICE.
As long as they can help us move a little bit faster, maybe they can take some of the work off the TSA agents as far as, general security. I'm all for it.
This comes after days of people waiting up to 5 hours in security lines wrapped around baggage claim, even starting outside. Travelers are frustrated, anxious, many are missing flights. And overall, they want to know when Congress will finally come to an agreement to end all of this. And so far, more than 400 TSA workers have quit since the start of this partial shutdown, according to DHS. And
in other words, it's an outrage that Congress hasn't funded DHS. But as far as the ICE agents being there, not an outrage. No, actually quite helpful, actually. Actually, we're like, yeah, it's good that they're here. Like, yeah, no, I mean, it's great. Thanks for being here. In fact, even CNN had to acknowledge the fact that it's actually working.
Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So if you have a flight to catch today, it's a good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International. Talking about those ICE agents, you can see a few behind me right there. And then I'm going to walk you this direction and you can see some more of them gathered over here. This is what they've been doing for the most part today, is doing the patrols around the airport, talking and gathering, not really helping the public in the sense of they're not taking tickets from anybody. They're not interacting with the public we've seen so far. They're not checking anyone's ID. At the TSA checkpoints, they're not doing that as well. So the big question is, what have they been doing mostly? Well, it's been providing perimeter security, as you can see over here.
That is an outrage. I mean, how dare they provide perimeter security at an airport? How dare they do that and not interact with the public and kill them and harass them and beat them and rip their children from their arms? I mean, this is an outrage, obviously. And of course, wherever you have grandstanding idiots like Cory Booker, you're bound to have grandstanding protesters too. One came along and started protesting at TSA, and then other people said, hey, thanks for being here and helping out. We appreciate it very much.
Hey, where are the white women at?
Master Donald Trump. Go back to your master. Move it, exactly. And then you know who, if he's still alive, go back to your master.
Just chanting. Ice out now. Just chanting. Yeah. And there they are, just walking through the airport. Again, not bothering anybody, not hurting anybody. I'm waiting for them to start abducting people, but it doesn't seem to be happening. We'll keep watching. We'll keep looking for it because Cory Booker said, and Hakeem Jeffries said it too, they're there to kill people, okay? That's why they're there. They're not the only grandstanders who are saying these things, of course. I mean, obviously, we have Chris Murphy from Connecticut, or one of the idiots from Connecticut, I forget which one it was, who also said they're there basically now to kill people. And that's the thing about this. You know, I'm always amazed at the lack of self-awareness that these Democrats have when the American people are just fine with what's happening because it's getting better. And then all of a sudden, when you turn out and you look around and you go, well, things are better, then they turn around and they go, oh, well, obviously it's just that the bad things haven't happened yet. So we'll find something like at San Francisco Airport where a woman was in fact dragged by ICE agents and somebody caught the video and started harassing the ICE agents over it. Take a watch.
What's your name? Show the badge. Where's a badge?
Where's your badge?
Can someone call 911? Where's your badge? Can I see? Let me see your badge. Okay. No, can I see your badge? I don't know if that's legitimate.
Is this nice?
Can I see your badge number, sir? What is your name? What is your name? Where's your badge number? Don't choke I'm asking for your badge number, sir. What is your badge number? What is your badge number?
It's a very sad situation.
We need to see your badge number.
It also had nothing to do with them being at the airport in the capacity of helping the TSA, or in the case of SFO, the private security force that they use at the airport. The viral video of a woman being nabbed by ICE at San Francisco International Airport, which sparked mass online fear-mongering about President Trump's deployment of immigration agents to help ease the TSA security crisis, had nothing to do with them being in the airport to help relieve the TSA crisis. The officers were met with backlash from multiple passengers who filmed the scene and yelled at them as the woman continued to cry, with a young girl standing beside her also sobbing. "This is un-American," one passenger was heard saying. "What is your badge number? What is your badge number?" However, the Department of Homeland Security told Fox News that the woman was part of a family of illegal Guatemalan migrants who had removal orders since 2019. Agents arrested the family members as part of a targeted operation, but as they were being escorted away, the woman broke free and ran, which is when she was grabbed by ICE. DHS accused the woman of resisting arrest as agents tried to cuff her again. The airport also confirmed that the arrest was unrelated to Trump's order to deploy ICE agents at busy airports around the country to try to ease the wait times at TSA lines. "We understand federal officers were transporting 2 individuals on an outbound flight when this incident occurred. We believe this is an isolated incident and have no reason to suspect broader enforcement action at SFO." After the arrest, the agents appeared to have trouble moving the woman as a crowd of passengers yelled at them and booed, and the hecklers eventually were calling the police. The ICE agents were able to leave with the woman, with San Francisco police present during the detention. The police from the sanctuary city neither assisted nor intervened in the arrest. The woman and the child in the video have yet to be publicly identified. The San Francisco airport was not among the list of locations where ICE would be deployed, and the transportation hub does not have TSA working at its security checkpoints. Let me say that again. As this video goes viral and they go, oh, this is what's happening now at the airports because Trump sent them in, the San Francisco airport was not among the list of locations where ICE would be deployed. And the transportation hub, the airport, does not have TSA working at its security checkpoints. In other words, this incident was completely unrelated to ICE agents being deployed to airports to assist TSA. Completely unrelated. But we live in an age of outrage, and so the video went viral, and then lots of grandstanding politicians used it to say, aha, you see, this is what's happening now in Trump's America at the airports. SFO actually uses private contractors as its screeners, which it has allowed it to bypass the bulk of the latest travel chaos caused by the partial government shutdown. The airport's role is to ensure the safe and efficient operation of the facility for all passengers and staff. We were not involved in or notified in advance of the incident. Airport operations continued without disruption, and there was no impact to flights or passenger processing. ICE did not immediately respond to the post request for comment. But Richard Blumenthal, that's who it is, thank you, the senator from Connecticut, still convinced that ICE is ready to kill. This is his tweet. Let me read it for you, because I forgot that it's actually a tweet, not audio. But that happens sometimes. I expected him to be grandstanding verbally and also written as well. But no, he just decided to write this one. I expected a grandstanding tirade like Booker, but ICE agents at airports will only aggravate delays in lines, disrupting checks, interrogating travelers, dragging parents from children, detaining citizens, brutalizing families, shooting, and even killing. Yeah, no, that went like really, that escalated quickly with his prognostication of doom. And in case you're wondering, that is his verified account with a blue check mark and his little Senate check mark too, at Senate Blumenthal, Richard Blumenthal, Senator Idiot, D Idiot, I believe is exactly. ICE agents at airports will only aggravate delays and lines, disrupting checks, interrogating families, dragging parents from children, detaining citizens, brutalizing families, shooting, and even killing. This is what you're dealing with. Once again, I want to play that clip from the people that they interviewed who were at the airport, just to see if any of them mentioned any of that, because I kind of glossed over that clip and maybe I missed it. Maybe they mentioned that those things were happening, that ICE were shooting people and grabbing people and brutalizing their families and detaining citizens. Maybe I missed it. So it's one more time. Let's listen to it.
As long as they don't bother anybody, I'm okay. I was concerned about people. So they're not bothering us. Let's get it done.
I like that they're here. I think that it's allowing us to move and get to where we need to go.
It's kind of scary in a sense because you don't know what to expect with ICE.
As long as they can help us move a little bit faster, maybe they can take some of the work off the TSA agents as far as, general security. I'm all for it.
Where's the part about the dragging parents from children, detaining citizens, brutalizing families, shooting, and even killing? I missed that part.
Rich, you think, that they're going to sit, there's ICE agents around them being interviewed. You think they're going to say that?
No, obviously not.
Obviously.
Because they know that they'll be next. That's why, Jared, they'll be next if they say that.
Wait,
so
Rich,
again, they're using the secret code. Wink, wink.
I want to throw out that CNN clip where the reporter was like going to go find out what the TSA were doing, and he's like, and they're just standing around. That one. Did you hear the complaints over the weekend of what they said? They were like, well, what's the TSA going to do? Or, sorry, what's the ICE going to do? They're not trained. They don't know how to use the equipment. They don't know the rules. So what are they going to do? And now they're like, well, now they're just standing around. Well, which is it? You're upset that they're not helping because they don't know anything, or you're upset that they're just providing the things they can provide, which is the general broad perimeter security. You can't be upset at both.
They shouldn't be allowed to check ID. They're not checking ID.
Exactly.
This is an outrage. They should not be going through people's bags. They're not going through people's bags. This is an outrage.
Standing here making this thing secure. That's a TSA job.
Look at them making sure that terrorists don't come into the airport. How dare they do that? They can't do that to our pledges. Only we can do that to our pledges. But it's not easy, you know, if you're a Democrat, when the people are happy and the lines have gone down and CNN has had to report, even CNN, things have gotten better. And what's the point of them being there anyway? Well, let's ask Tom Homan about it. What's the point of them being there? Is it there to shoot people? Is it there to brutalize people? Is it there to tear families apart? What is the job? Why would they be there?
The wait lines already dropped. Plus, we're doing a security function at the airports. We're going to arrest criminals going through this airport. We're going to look for human trafficking, sex trafficking, money smuggling. We're going to be at the airports working with our brothers and sisters of TSA. They're our brothers and sisters within DHS. President Trump made a smart move. We're going to keep the airplanes flying. We're going to get the American people to those lines quicker. And we're not going to give up President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safer every day. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
You're a monster, Tom Homan. You're looking for sex traffickers. You're looking for human traffickers. You have a problem with that, you monster? What kind of a free country is this when we start going after human traffickers and sex traffickers? That's not the America I know and love, okay? All right? So on the one hand, we don't want ICE doing anything. But on the other hand, we certainly don't want them stopping people from putting people into human trafficking and sex trafficking. God knows that we don't want that, okay? Because if there's one thing America stands for, it's allowing human trafficking and sex trafficking, and also criminals at airports. And Cinnabon at airports too. And obviously, and overpriced water and overpriced everything actually at the airport. Once you get past the TSA checkpoint, that too, obviously. But you know, that man needs to be stopped now. I stand with human That's going to be the next pin. I stand with human traffickers.
I don't remember your whole interview, Rich, from the White House. Did you call him a monster to his face when you were talking to him?
I meant to, and then we ran out of time.
That's too much time. You only got 10 minutes. You got to go.
Yeah, we got to go. We got to wrap. I was thanking him for being so nice to my son when we were at the White House last time. And then I was like, oh, and by the way, you're a freaking monster.
Next time.
I'll get you next time, Tommy. Next time I see you, I'll finally tell you what I really think. Oh, you're coming back? You want to do a couple more minutes? Okay, great. Yeah, no, sit down. Yeah, no, I'll keep the inside my...
Not a monster. This is like a...
Right, I mean, not like that, you know. Yeah. But in fairness to me, at the time, I didn't know he was going after sex traffickers and human traffickers. Because we had only talked about all the hundreds of thousands of children that they saved from human traffickers and sex traffickers. So I didn't know that was something that they were even thinking about doing.
How could you know that he was going to send people to the airports to like reduce lines?
Thank you.
Know that at the time.
Exactly.
That's not on you.
That's not on me. All right. I stand with, that's the new thing now. It's, you know, I stand with human traffickers.
Rich, they're going to get to a place where, like, it's going to be the flare from Office Space. They're just got so many pins, they're going to have to put them on their lanyards, right? Like, just, this is too much.
They're going to have to do a daily check, a woke check, and be like, all right, wait, actually, that cause, we're not into that cause anymore.
What
Take
flag
that one
is
off.
That? When's that flag from? We don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, that's we're way beyond
that.
that.
Georgian
save
flag?
the whales. We want to kill the whales with windmills. We're not into saving the whales. Take that pin off. F the whales. That, of course, is the big story of the day, brought to you by Dr. Mike Veneria. Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. VANARIA, VeneriaDental.com. Great guy, great friend of the show, and the master of dental implants, Dr. Mike Veneria, VeneriaDental.com. Now, obviously, this battle over funding Homeland Security would be a vast right-wing conspiracy if people like me went on Fox News and suggested that all of this came down to the fact that Democrats do not want ICE to be at polling places. Obviously, because we would never, ever, ever really, truly, I mean, if Democrats did believe that, they wouldn't say it. You know what I mean? Like if that was their super secret plot and they were in closed door meetings and they were like, look, obviously this is all about the fact that we want to make sure that the polling locations, there are no ICE agents anywhere so that illegal immigrants can vote. But we're not going to say that publicly. So when we have anyone go out there and speak, make sure you're in leadership so you don't reveal the secret plot. So that's why they had the minority leader himself come out to not say that.
It's the reason why we are in a DHS shutdown right now, because Republicans have refused to agree to the type of bold, transformative, meaningful, and dramatic reforms we are demanding in order for the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to move forward. And I won't go through all of the demands.
Stay on message.
Talked about repeatedly in the public.
Right.
But one of those demands is keep ICE out of sensitive locations.
Yes.
And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites. We want an explicit prohibition.
No, not that one. No. Stop hospitals and then zip it. Hakeem.
That ICE can go nowhere near any polling sites in the United States of America. It's one of our...
Okay. All right. You let it slip once. Then you double down on it? I mean, really? You double down on it. Is that what we're doing now? We're going to keep, and we got to make sure you didn't double down on hospitals. You didn't double down on churches. You didn't double down on schools, but you doubled down on the one place you were not supposed to say you wanted to keep ICE out of, and that you're certainly not funding DHS over, and that is polling places. But you don't just say it one time, you double down on that one.
Go nowhere near any polling sites in the United States of America. It's one of our...
God, you're not good at this. You're really not good at this, man.
Rich, I think if I could do it for Mr. Jeffries, can I give a little note?
Yeah.
Do you have a second?
I think we should. Yeah, let's try to
nowhere
help.
near. ICE is going to sensitive hospitals where people get health care. They shouldn't be allowed in. Worship, places of work, schools. Children shouldn't be afraid to go to schools, polling places. And the other thing that we need to make sure of is that DHS, that's how you do it. You got to just slip it.
You got to slip it in there like that.
You use it like a comma to separate the other points. It's churches, it's schools, it's hospitals, it's polling places, because we've got to be Americans first. We can't be worried about, you got to
Or what if you do it more like hospitals, because that's where the sick are and they need care, whether they're documented or undocumented. Schools, because children deserve an education. Churches, because everyone deserves to worship, whether they're here legally or not. And places.
And polling places, because that's where people vote.
That's where people vote, obviously. I don't want ICE there where people are voting if they're illegals who are voting.
No follow-ups,
So
please.
that guy needs media training. I just, it's a shame I don't play for their team, because they could really use, and if you're going to put him out and he's the leader, you assume that he's probably the best that they have. Like that's the best that they have. And so when that was over, his little Hakeem podcast there, whatever he's doing, you would think they might edit that part out. Like, all right, fair enough, Mr. Leader, you slipped on the polling places part. Why don't we edit, stop it right there? And then you keep going. Nope, left it in for all to hear. polling places, not just once, but the second time, and then a third time to reinforce that they are definitely not compromising on that, because there's no way in hell they're going to allow DHS to be funded as long as ICE can go near a polling place where illegals are not supposed to be voting. Then again, you might say to yourself, is this why Democrats keep losing, because they just are really, really bad at this? And the answer is yes, it is. They're just that bad at this. And if they were better at this, maybe they'd give Trump a run for his money. But when that's what you're putting out there as your opposition, I'm just reminded of the fact that it's probably going to be just fine for Republicans in midterms, no matter how bad things get, because the alternative is that guy. All right, look, the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey is my happy place. And if you're in love, the Grand Hotel is the perfect place to host a wedding. With 4 ballrooms, they have the perfect space to make lifetime memories. Just call my friend Caitlin. She was named the 2025 South Jersey Face of Weddings. She'll help you plan the wedding of your dreams. And it's not too late to start thinking about Memorial Day weekend. But you better hurry, because they book up fast for Memorial Day weekend. Now, they have from March 29th through April 6th, they still have their spring break package. I don't know how many rooms are left, probably not many, but if you stay 2 nights, you're going to save 5%. Stay 3 or 4 nights, save 10%. Stay 5 nights or more, save 15% off regular rates. Breakfast is included in all of the packages. They offer guest rooms, suites, and townhomes to accommodate family gatherings of all size, and you will love the heated indoor saltwater pool. And the kids will love the fact that they have breakfast included, an arcade right on site, and there's so much to do in Cape May, and the weather is getting absolutely beautiful. So go to grandhotelcapemay.com, grandhotelcapemay.com, and do it today, okay? And I'll see you there May 15th. Mark your calendar for that. But then again, as we think about all these things, you might say to yourself, all right, Hakeem Jeffries is annoying, but there are a lot of really well-spoken Democrats out there and their spouses who go out there and make you remind people that the Democrats have moved on from the culture wars in America. They're back to basics. It's the economy, stupid, you know? Getting back to, I don't know, talking to the union guys again, the union gals, and talking about jobs and work, and not lecturing people, and certainly not using weird coded language to make people believe that, I don't know, like marriage is about inequity and that husbands and wives aren't equal. You know, like that, for example.
What I will say is that I don't know if our country is ready for first partner.
Okay.
Sadly, I don't know if they are. I'd like to think, and I'm going to work really, 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 really hard for people to see what's been rendered invisible and devalued in our society, and to go, oh, that's actually important. Mm-hmm. It's not always a woman behind a man, but the partnership is what's important, and then partnership will make the world go round. That said, I have respect for institutions. California is sort of this petri dish of innovation. I threw it out as a whim to everybody when we were in the transition period. And they were like, they kind of liked it. They thought it was cool. And I was like, okay. And so if not me, hopefully somebody someday will continue to assert and stand up so that more people see the value of the partnership and the value of the care, and that person, whether it's a man or a woman, gender nonconforming individual, that they're critical to that person's success, and that they're part of the other life, that other life of theirs that allows them to lead, that allows them to be successful.
You're sticking with this woke culture crap, aren't you? The first gender nonconforming person. I'd like to introduce to the state my first gender nonconforming person partner, who is going to help lead education. I've asked them to please come out here and handle that for all of us in the state of New Jersey. My gender nonconforming partner person, maybe not even a person. That's Jennifer Newsom, the first partner of California, reminding all of us just how annoying white, college-educated liberal women can be. And you can strive to be that annoying if you are one. Like if you are a white, college-educated liberal woman right now and you think to yourself, man, am I annoying enough? Do I get on people's nerves enough? Do I remind men why they should hate me? Well, if you need inspiration, there's Jennifer Newsom for you, okay? You can be just like that. You can. You can lecture everybody about how marriages are really not equal and that you need to have the title of partner. And you can remind people not about jobs and work and but about non-conforming conformity to that. So, yeah. Nice earrings, though. I give her that.
I love how she smiles to try to like soften the blow when she's doing it. Like she's like, watch right here. Oh, nope, smile, big smile. Yep.
Yeah.
Helps the
I don't know if
land.
America's ready for first partner. I don't know, but you know, like we're so advanced in California, so like, you know, we're super cool. I mean, also the country's a bunch of dumbass flyover state rubes, so they're probably not ready, but like, wow.
For those of you who are listening and not watching this on YouTube, I mean, watch on YouTube, but Rich was emulating her like bubbly California, like shoulder bumps, like the whole time. Like you can't, I'm sure you can hear that she's doing that, but Rich, I very much appreciated your.
Yeah, like, you know, it's like a bad Barbie movie. It's like if Barbie ran for office and then decided to go super woke and then sat there and was like, you know, I don't know if everybody's ready for pink, but we're really advanced here. We like to sparkle and dazzle. And Jennifer Newsom on the campaign trail running for when Gavin runs for president in 2028 is just going to be a joy because every blue collar voter who's a guy is going to turn around and be like, yeah, I don't want that broad lecturing me for 4 years. I can tell you that much. All right. I don't want to be lectured about gender nonconforming partners. I'm good. All right.
Also, she's like wearing like her belt looks like she grabbed a loose piece of leather and like it's like, you know what I mean? And then her earrings look like the CBS Sunday Morning logo. Like this doesn't look normal. This doesn't look like a relatable.
She looks like a Star Wars character, actually, is what she looks like.
She looks like
an
a
evil
cantina.
Star Wars villain.
Cantina refugee.
I don't know if everybody outside of the dark side is ready for first partner, but it's what we use here because we're very advanced, okay? I don't know if those Jedi rubes are ready for it, but we are. Now, for those of us living in reality, we might say to ourselves, how do we make sure that we can have a fair election? Luckily, the United States Supreme Court is poised to hopefully make the right ruling on mail-in ballots, because this is a big deal as we head into midterms and also the 2028 presidential election. The good news is that based on oral arguments, and it's hard to always judge from oral arguments, but based on oral arguments, it seems like the Supreme Court is poised to say that these deadlines on mail-in ballots are out of control, and they're going to limit mail-in voting deadlines, which would be a great thing for everyone. If you remember in 2020, Pennsylvania was ground zero for this when the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said, despite the legislature having the constitutional power to decide the time, manner, and place of the election, it was the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that said, you know what? You can send in ballots. They can be received 3 days late, no postmark, a postmark that can't be read, whatever it is. Well, according to oral arguments, according to Notice, which is a site that last week President Trump said to the reporter, who are you with? Notice? I don't know what that is. Get a real job. But anyway, Notice wrote this story, and it's actually really good. The Supreme Court showed an openness to blocking Mississippi's law allowing mail-in ballots to be received and counted after Election Day, a ruling that could upend mail-in voting nationwide ahead of the midterms. During Monday's oral arguments for Watson v. the Republican National Committee, the conservative majority signaled concern about Mississippi's law should it be permitted to stand. questioning ways the law could delay and muddle election results. Justice Samuel Alito asking the Solicitor General, isn't it the case that some states will count ballots that are received 21 days after Election Day? Is that okay? Mississippi's law requires mail-in ballots to be counted up to 5 days after Election Day, as long as they are postmarked by the day of the election. The measure was adopted during COVID, and they're not the only state to do this. This is just a state that's before the Supreme Court. The ruling would most likely, hopefully, have national implications. The Republican National Committee, along with the Mississippi Republican and Libertarian Party, argued in their suit in federal court that establishing an election day in federal law makes the state's 5-day window illegal. The counsel for the Mississippi Secretary of State, Michael Watson, who is the defendant in the case, has argued that Congress only has control over the date when voters make their choice, not when ballots arrive. The choice before the Supreme Court is whether federal law supersedes the state's right to regulate its election rules. Quote, we don't have a lot to go on here. We have the phrase election day and we have history, said Justice Samuel Alito during oral arguments. The stakes could be high. Many states allow ballots to be postmarked on Election Day to be counted afterwards. Invalidating Mississippi's law would thrust dozens of absentee ballot rules into question. On Monday, the court appeared divided on partisan lines, with conservative justices expressing skepticism about the law. Justices Clarence Thomas and Amy Coney Barrett wanted to know what made a ballot final or official. Justice Brett Kavanaugh questioned defendants on the implications of their arguments that blocking the law would create some sort of chaos in the system. Justice Kavanaugh asked the question, would you say that the states that require receipt by Election Day are disenfranchising voters? Justice Neil Gorsuch, for his part, proposed a complicated hypothetical. What happens if a candidate calls for voters to recall their votes after his opponent is found to have participated in an inappropriate sexual escapade? In that hypothetical, did the election happen on Election Day? Oh, by the way, it swings the election. No pun intended. Justice Gorsuch asked. Let's say there was a law prohibiting recall. How would it ever be enforced? The justice continued. Because how is the state to know? And how is even a common carrier carrying an envelope to know whether that is a ballot that needs to be recalled and who are you going to prosecute? Now, the state is arguing that the solution would be requiring voters to sign an affidavit committing to not attempt to recall their vote. The 3 liberal justices expressed interest in leaving the law in place, questioning the argument that history should play a role in the court's decision. Congress couldn't have conceived of the kind of early voting we have now. It couldn't have conceived of 1,000 other ways in which we administer elections now, said Justice Elena Kagan. The problem here, as the conservative justices point out, is that when you have this situation, let's say you get into a place where all of a sudden ballots start showing up days after the election. Those ballots were cast maybe on Election Day. But what if you don't know? And how do you really know? What happens if the post office is late? How late? What happens if the ballots arrive 2 weeks after the fact? At what point do you say Election Day is Election Day? Of course, the Democrats are turning around and saying this is another example of Donald Trump wanting to limit people's ability to vote in elections. But it's actually not about voting. It's about counting the votes. It's about when the votes are received. Here's Justice Samuel Alito on liberals who want to receive endless mail-in ballots after Election Day. Take a listen.
We have lots of phrases that involve 2 words, the second of which is day. Labor Day, Memorial Day, George Washington's birthday, Independence Day, birthday, and Election Day. And they're all particular days. So if we start with that, if I have nothing more to look at than the phrase Election Day, I think this is the day in which everything is going to take place, or almost everything. And then we have 3 points in time. 1844, 1872, 1914. And we can ask, what would people have thought on those days is meant by this phrase, election day? Which of those should we choose? Which of those dates should we choose?
Well, I think you could choose any of the three. I mean, honestly, I think the single best one, if you're just going to choose one, is 1872. And the reason I say that is because 1914 is the latest in time, but that's the one that Congress gave the least thought to.
Basically, it goes like this. When Congress passed the law and said election day, that is a day, not a month, not a season, not a shopping season. It's not like a thing where it begins. You know, I mean, like I go to the stores now and I'm amazed at how early they start putting out holiday decorations, you know? I'm glad now to see all the summer stuff is out because that makes me happy and gives me hope and optimism. But you know, when you go to the store in late August and all of a sudden there's Christmas decorations out and you're like, what is happening right now? And you go, well, there's only, 60 days till Christmas. Election day is not a season. It's a day. But we've turned it into a season. We've actually made it election season with early voting, early in-person voting, early mail-in voting, early drop-off voting. And the problem is it's very confusing. It's a mishmash all over the place. And then we don't know when that day ends. Theoretically, it should end when the day ends, right? Like there's Christmas Day and then there's December 26th. That's not Christmas Day. It's the day after Christmas. Everybody knows that. There's New Year's Eve and there's New Year's Day. New Year's Day, you recover from New Year's Eve. But we don't say it's New Year's season, call it New Year's Day. And then you get back to life, January 2nd or 3rd, depending on when the holiday falls. But the point is, Election Day is a very specific place and time. We have, since COVID, created now this idea that elections can begin whenever and end whenever. And throughout the course of all that, we've seen problem after problem develop. Ballots received with no postmarks. We have seen ballots just show up in drop boxes. We've seen the count totals change after we thought we had a winner in an election. And we don't have any idea how any of this makes sense. We also are not in the middle of an emergency. So a lot of this stuff was adopted during COVID-19 when we were in the middle of a pandemic. We're not in the middle of a pandemic anymore. Yet we're still acting like we are. So the question becomes, from the federal government's perspective, when is Election Day? And Justice Alito's point in that is very simple. It's the day that Congress said is Election Day. That's it. For the purpose of federal elections, it's that day. It's not that complicated. It's that day. The states administer it, but that's Election Day. Not the 3 days after, the 2 weeks after that, and the 6 days after that day. Groundhog Day is a day. Election Day is a day too. Here's Justice Sonia Sotomayor, though, who believes that she's got a zinger here because, they had ballots that came in after the 2000 election in the case of Bush v. Gore.
You believe that absentee voting by the military and overseas voters, the various laws, that federal laws under which states have proceeded with respect to those votes are illegal? No, or they're not saying what everybody has understood them to say, that states can accept absentee ballots after the election? So military and overseas ballots?
I don't think any vote is unlawful. Let me try to address how I think you would reconcile UACAVA with the Election Day statutes. And to start, I think it's important to recognize that UACAVA is not limited to the federal general election. So UACAVA applies to primary elections, to runoff elections, and special elections, and federal general elections. The Election Day statutes only apply to the general federal election. So the way I would reconcile the two is to say that all the references in UACAVA to state deadlines are perfectly fine, not preempted at all, not displaced at all, not even anomalous with respect to the primaries, the runoffs, and the special elections. Then the court has a job to do in the federal general election as to say, kind of which is the specific, which is the general. I think the more logical way to do it would be to say that with the understanding in this court, if you decide in our favor, that for the federal general election, the ballots have to be in by Election Day, I would say...
Maybe we should have another president now, because wasn't it in Florida that they were counting military votes after receipt?
So with all due respect, that is the reddest of red herrings, because what happened in the 2000 election in Florida is that pursuant to a consent decree that was entered by a federal court, because Florida was violating the principal provision of UACAVA, which says you have to give the absentee ballots to the overseas voters 45 days in advance. Because Florida was violating that, there had to be a consent decree to create a remedy that was not provided
What
under...
happened was that the judge made up the deadline, not the state.
The judge made up the deadline. That's his point, exactly. And that's what happened in Pennsylvania, too. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court made up the deadline. That's exactly his point. The whole point of this is to say we have to stop having judges make deadlines when the law is very clear about what that deadline is and when election day is. He's talking about Florida being a red herring in that case because that was a specific remedy because Florida screwed up, and so this judge got involved. The whole point is to avoid that. You have a deadline, which means then, yeah, if military or overseas people or people that don't get their ballot in on time, then it's late and it's not counted. You know who else follows that rule, by the way? The IRS. Like if for example, if your tax return is not postmarked by the 15th, it's considered late. Now, if you send it in, like if they get it a month later and it's postmarked on the 15th and they didn't get it and that's the U.S. Postal Service's fault and everything like that, but it's postmarked, that's the law. It says it has to be postmarked. But we're talking about a question now of when those ballots have to be received. And we have Democrat states that have said as long as they're postmarked on election day, you can mail them in. That is crazy because we know that things can take a long time to get to people. I mailed Jared his check on a Thursday. You received it when?
Was it?
I think
10,
it was
10 full days later.
10 calendar days later, you received it. And I mailed it first class mail, by the way. I didn't mail it media mail. I mailed it first class mail with a real stamp on it. And I sent it to you.
A lot of people are skeptical that Rich pays his bills. Allegedly on time.
By the way, don't deposit that till the 1st if you'd be so kind.
Just give it a minute.
May want to give that a minute. Like, yeah. You can fill out the deposit form and all that, but if you could just wait till the 1st to actually, deposit it into your account, that'd be a huge help.
I forgot what it was like to work for a small business. Yeah, I've had this before. Thanks.
It's like it's an old joke about writing a check at the grocery store. You take a check. Yeah, I'll write a check for all this stuff. Yeah, sure. Well, yeah. No problem.
You can expect payment anytime you want.
Yeah, no problem. I'll write you this piece of paper right now. I owe you. This one's for a Lamborghini. You're going to want to hang on to that. Let me tell you about my friend and my dentist, Dr. Mike Veneria. He is the expert, the master in handling complex dental surgeries and procedures. With Dr. Mike, it's not about cost, it's about care. Dr. Mike's compassion and commitment to your health is his top priority. There are some things in life, look, you just can't roll the dice on. Your smile is one of them. And I want you to have a beautiful smile because it lights up the room and it makes you confident. And people look at you and they go, wow, look at that. That's a beautiful, beautiful smile. So that's what you need. Now, if you need very complex dental procedures, go to the guy the other experts consider the expert. So that means that if somebody goes to a dentist and says, I need an implant, they say, we're sending you to Dr. Mike Veneria. They're putting their reputation on the line. They would not do that over and over and over again unless he was the best of the best, because then those patients would not go back to the original dentist. They'd say, you sent me to a bad guy. You sent me to a quack. They don't say that about Dr. Mike because he's the best. That's why I trust him for my whole family and why Bridget got a beautiful smile upgrade from Dr. Mike last year. So reach out to him today. 2 locations for you in Cinnaminson and Woodbury, both right over the bridge. And remember, Mama Zioli discovered him for our family. He's my friend and my dentist and the master of dental implants, Dr. Mike Veneria, veneriadental.com. There's actually a really interesting piece that I read today when I was up in New York, killing time before my Fox News hit.
You on Fox today?
Did I not mention that I was on
God.
Fox today?
Was Dana there? I had no idea.
Dana Perino happened to be there. As
49 minutes into the show. I don't know how we missed that. It's usually been announced.
I was actually
several times
wearing this outfit, as a matter of fact, on Fox News today. And I used a line that Dana said, that was a really good line. Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah. So people should go to social media and look and see what I said. We have all the socials right there on the screen for you. And if you're not watching, then at Rich Zeoli Show. And you can see what I said regarding illegal immigrants and criminals in Chicago and Illinois and Virginia, by the way. And if you are watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. We are almost at 1,600 subscribers, which is great. We're growing every day, and I appreciate it. We appreciate it very, very much. So the question is the liberal case for voter ID. And this writer, Milan Singh, at The Argument, wrote a really interesting piece about why Democrats should actually embrace voter ID. Now, there's a whole thing about college-educated voters who tend more likely to vote for Democrats and how they more likely have passports because they tend to have more money and they travel, and you need a passport to travel. They call them SES voters, all right? So people with lots of money, more money, and blah, 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 blah. But what's interesting is that as you go through this, they acknowledge a few things. Voter ID rules tend to actually increase voter turnout. Voter ID laws don't actually suppress many votes at all. The Brennan Center for Justice, which is a left-leaning center, has pointed out that in states that enacted voter ID laws, the racial turnout gap has increased. And that in North Carolina, which you remember there were boycotts over North Carolina, and they said, I think if I'm not mistaken, like Major League Baseball might have pulled out of there. Maybe that was Georgia, I forget. But there were boycotts, and turnout among individuals lacking proper identification went down following the passage of the state's voter ID law, even after the law was struck down. A comprehensive working paper published in 2019 found that voter ID laws have no negative effect on registration or turnout overall for any group defined by race, gender, age, or party affiliation. The likelihood that any non-white voters didn't turn out or anything like that, it's not real. Voter ID laws had no impact on real or perceived levels of voter fraud. And here's another thing they have to acknowledge. Voter ID is really popular. She writes, I used to be part of a small minority of Americans who oppose voter ID laws. Back in 2020, I wrote my first ever article for my high school newspaper, a somewhat prescient, if a bit overwrought critique of the anti-democratic strain in the Republican Party. I stand by a lot of what I said in the piece. The Senate is an undemocratic institution. Gerrymandering is bad. Congress should renew the Voting Rights Act. But my thinking on voter ID laws has changed. It's not that I think voter ID fraud is a significant problem, she says. It's extraordinarily rare, but the last few years have seen a collapse in trust of the electoral process, in large part driven by Donald Trump lying about the 2020 election. Do I think voter ID laws will magically make Republicans stop believing in conspiracy theories? No, but I do think it might just help restore some trust in the fairness of elections. This is a liberal writing this. In poll after poll, voter ID laws are really popular. In fact, it's one of the most popular electoral reform proposals out there. It consistently polls well over 2/3 support, with majorities of all parties and races in favor. Voter ID laws are really popular across race and party, Black, white, Hispanic, Republican, Democrat, Independent, all over. If you look at Gallup, if you look at Pew, if you look at The Hill, if you look at Honest Elections Project, UMass, go on and on and on, it's popular. In fact, a lot of people. It's surprising that showing a photo ID isn't already required. Most people actually believe it is required. The fact that voter ID laws are so popular and yet Democrats resist it seems to drive further suspicions in the electorate. What possible reason could Democrats have for being so stubborn about this, if not a desire to cheat in elections? In other words, the point that she's making is, wouldn't it make everybody feel confident in our elections if you had to show ID? The answer is yes. She's also acknowledging that cheating in elections is rare, but it happens. But the argument right now that Republicans are using, and I've used this on Fox News, is that Democrats don't want to fund Homeland Security because they don't want ICE to be at polling places, because they want illegal immigrants to be able to vote. And the whole point of the Save America Act is to ensure that only U.S. citizens can vote in federal elections. Now, one might think there would never be a Democrat stupid enough to say that out loud, but we did an entire segment on it earlier in the show today. But in case you missed it, if there's a Democrat out there who is dead set on not funding Homeland Security because they don't want ICE at polling places, which just confirms the suspicion that people have that Democrats want illegal immigrants who are not citizens to vote in elections, we'll play it for you one more time because it's just that stupid and you might as well hear it again. Go ahead.
People, it's the reason why we are in a DHS shutdown right now, because Republicans have refused to agree to the type of bold, transformative, meaningful, and dramatic reforms we are demanding in order for the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to move forward. And I won't go through all of the demands, much of which we've talked about repeatedly in the public, but one of those demands is keep ICE out of sensitive locations. And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites. We want an explicit prohibition that ICE can go nowhere near any polling sites in the United States of America. It's one of our
red lines that we will not cross. So if you think it's because they want illegal immigrants to cheat and vote in elections, maybe don't say that out loud. That's the show. Thanks so much for listening. I can't get over it, Jared. Every time I hear it, I still can't get over it.
I'm a big fan of...
It gets dumber every time.
Hey, how come people don't trust us as Democrats? It's like, oh, yeah, you know what we should do? Podcast. People really trust podcast hosts. Put Hakeem, put a podcast mic in front of him, and everybody's going to believe him. That's the solution. Guys, now we're cooking with gas.
We're going to call it the Hakeem cast.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be bigger than Rogan. The Hakeem cast. And we're going to make people totally distrust elections and our motives for not funding DHS. And it's going to be a killer. That's the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go.